Hashem, today's daf yomi is Menachos daf tzadi ches, Menachos 98. So we're going to start on 98a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines from the top. The Gemara is talking about that there's an amma. An amma is a measure in the Beis Hamikdash, or it's just a measure that measures from your elbow to the tip of your finger. And an amma, that's what an amma is. But in the Beis Hamikdash, when it was built, the amma was typically understood to be 6 tefachim. But there was also some utensils in the Mishkan that were 5 tefachim. And those were called the small amma. And whereas the amma of the Beis Hamikdash was called the amma of Moshe Rabbeinu, or else a Beinoni's amma, an average amma. So the Gemara says, "V'kama amma beinonis." How much is this average amma? Amar Rabbi Yochanan shisha tefachim, 6 tefachim, and Amar Rabbi Yosi bar Abin Afanan namitinina. Rabbi Meir Omer Hashochan, the table in the Mishkan, Arko Shnei Masar, it was 12 tefachim long. The Rachbo Shisha, and it was 6 tefachim wide. And we know that its length in the Torah is 2 amos long and 1 amos wide. So that teaches us that the amma of the Mishkan was 6 tefachim. Gemara says, is this really the case? The Gemara says, well, if this is called an average amma, this proves that there was another amma that was even greater than it. So there was an amma that was larger than 6 tefachim. Is that really the case? Yes, because we learned Shtei Amos ayu b'Shushan Abira. There were 2 amos in Shushan Abira. What's Shushan Abira? Shushan Abira was a room entering into the area of the temple, and it was a room filled with measuring utensils. After this daf is for our friend Leon Birchcott with his biblical proportions, and it states Al Karen Mizrachas Tzefonis, and this room was on. There was Achas Al Karen Mizrachas Tzefonis. One was on the northeast, Achas Al Karen Mizrachas Chomis, and one was on the south east part of the entrance. Shal Karen Mizrachas Tzefonis, the measure that was on the northeast part of the entrance, Yisrael Shal Moshe, was greater than the Amma of Moshe by Chatzi Etzba, by half a finger. And Shal Karen Mizrachis, Dromis on the southeast, Haisa Yisrael Chatzi Etzba, was the one on the southeast was even greater than that one by another half finger. Nimtzi Yisrael Shal Moshe Etzba. So it was altogether 1 finger greater than Moshe. So we see that there was an Amma that was less than Moshe, and there was an Amma that was greater than Moshe. So why did they make one of these measures big? Why did they make 2 measures bigger than Moshe, but one was bigger and one was smaller? When the workers were hired by the temple, they contracted that they were going to do the work, and they got paid for the lower measure. But then when they did the work, they had to do it by the higher measure to make sure that they weren't stealing from the temple, so that they didn't actually take away the temple money. So the Gemara says, why do we need 2 measures? Why don't we just give them 1 measure? So the Gemara explains, when it was for gold and silver, there they only went up by half a finger. But when it's for regular building, the temple's measure was 1. There was a difference of 1 finger, 1 full finger. So now the Gemara, yes.
Just a question. The temple was essentially rebuilt. So why did they prefer this?
No. The second temple, this was at the beginning of the second temple, when the second temple at the start was rebuilt by the Persians. Like Koresh allowed them to build it.
Yeah.
That was at the outset of the rebuilding of the second temple, and they kept it there. Even after the Romans didn't rebuild it, they destroyed it. There was Herod. Yeah, well, he expanded it. Okay, I mean, there's the yeah. I mean, the answer lies in the press release. So it depends who's sending out the press release. So okay, so then the Gemara tells us Tanan Hasam Shara Mizrach Olav Shushan Abu Yaratzura. So this might be the answer to your question also, Harold. That there was on the Shushan Abira was drawn on the eastern gate, my taima of Chisda Rav Yitzchak Paravdimi Chad Amar Ketesha Yedu Mehechan Bo. One is says so that they should know from where they came, that they came from Persia. The other one is to tell us that they should have the fear of kingdom upon them. So this could explain to you why Herod might not have gotten rid of that. It was a message that he supported. Support the kingdom and the people who rule over you. So you should always have the fear of the king upon you. As Moshe said to Paro, Ela Alai, as Moshe said to Paro, all of these servants should come down to me, and they should bow down to me, saying. So from the fact that he said all of your servants, Paro, will bow down to me, but not Paro, that teaches us he didn't speak disrespectfully to Paro by saying Paro's himself will bow down because he had respect for him. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Me'achas, it says, "Vayad Hashem Haital El Yahu, Vayishanes Masna, Vayarz Afnei Achav Ad Boacha Yisrael." That Eliyahu, even though Achav was wicked, Eliyahu ran in front of him until he came to Israel, which was the house of Achav. So he gave honor to Achav. And then it says there's another dispute between since we had this dispute between Rav Chisda and Bar Yitzchak and Rav Yitzchak Paravdimi. So we have another one. It says also in Ezekiel that there will be a river that will come out of the Holy of Holies, and this river will be for you. It will produce fruits, and these fruits will be for you. Valeo Uchufa. They will have a healing power. Rav Yitzchak Paravdimi Chadam Lahatir Peshel Mala. That it will allow you to speak. It will remove the burden on your upper mouth, and if you weren't able to speak, you'll be able to speak. And that it will open you up below, means if you were barren, you'll be able to reproduce. In to release the mouth of the mute, and to allow the barrens to give birth. So now we go back to the question about the number of trays on the table and how many loaves of bread there are in each tray. So we're going to go through the verses. If it said in the verse, if it said that you will take the loaves and take the flour and you'll bake 12 chalos, and you shall place them into two trays. But the verse actually stated 6 for each tray. But if it had said that, but if it didn't say 6, one tray could have 4, one tray could have 8. Therefore it says 6. If it said 2 trays, 6 in each tray, and didn't say 12 all total, I would have said that you should put on the table 3 trays of 6 and 6, because maybe it would be 2 trays plus another 6. Therefore it says 12. If it just said 12 chalos, it said trays, but it didn't say 2. I would have said, I might have said 3 trays, each one having 4. Therefore, it says 2 trays, 6 one in each. So until we had all three of these verses, we need all 3. Okay, tzad. So what do? No, saying you put 2 trays, shal sheish, Each one has 6 chalos. If you put one tray of 4 and one of 8, you have not fulfilled your obligation. Let's say you do shtayim shel sheva sheva. Let's say you do 2 trays and each one has 7 loaves. So Rabbi taught, Rowan es Yona ki'uena. You look at the top tray as though it's not there anymore. You look at the top challah as though it's not there, and it doesn't disqualify it. Gemara says, wait, there's a problem with that approach. We need to put on the top tray the lavona zaka, the pure frankincense. And if you have another loaf on top, you're not putting it on the frankincense. On the loaf. We already had this Gemara a couple of days ago. Al doesn't necessarily mean on. Al can also be next to. The Tanya Rebbe Omer Renasata Amarachas Lavona Zaka. Al means al means next to, and well al mamash maybe means actually. You shall cover the ark with the curtain. But the curtain does not cover the ark. What covers the ark? Not the parochas, but what covers the ark? The kapores, not the parochas, but the kapores. So we see from here that al means next to. So now we learned all the utensils on the mikdash were standing lengthwise. What do you mean by lengthwise? So let's say you're at the Kotel, the Western Wall, and you're looking towards the Western Wall. That's basically you're looking at the back of the west of the temple. I mean, if you would go up the wall, and if you walk toward the end of that mountain straight from there, that's west to east. So let's orient ourselves. East to west is lengthwise, and north to south is widthwise. So all the utensils of the mikdash were placed by their length. So Tana Rabbanan Kol Kelim Mikdash Arkan Lo Arko Shel Bayis. All the utensils were placed lengthwise. Chutz mi Aron, with the exception of the ark, She'arko Lo Rachba Shel Bayis. The ark was placed widthwise. Its length went across the width of the temple. V'kachaya Aron Munach. V'kachaya Munach. And this is how the Aron was placed widthwise. V'kachaya Badav Munach. And the ark had 2 poles on either side of it. That's how they were placed. My kamar. So what's it saying? That this is the way the ark was placed, widthwise from north to south. From the fact that the badim were placed there, that they were placed, you have to place the badim by the length of the mikdash from east to west, and since the badim were fixed on the wide side of the ark, as we'll see, so therefore the length of the ark was opposite the width of the temple. And how do we know that the poles are on the width side? The Tanya, the Yaricho Habadim. It says in the verse, Vayaricho Habadim, and basically that they placed the poles on the ark. Yachol lo hayu nogim beparochas. I might think that the poles did not touch the curtain of the Holy of Holies. Talmalomer vayerau, they were seen. Ivayareu yachol mekarim beparochas v'yotzin. I might think that they jetted out of the curtain. Talmalomer v'lo yerau lachutza. They weren't seen outside. Haketzad. So what is going on here? Dolkin uboltin beparochas. They were pressing and coming through the curtain towards the sanctuary, but they were still contained within the curtain. Domin kamin shnei dadei isha. They're like the breasts of a woman, which were basically modest, but you could see them, that they're protruding from her form. So that's how the poles of the curtain were, as it's of the ark were. Remember, Tzoror Amor Dodili Bein Shadayelin. Between my breasts he will rest. Means to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is my beloved, placed his divine presence between the badim of the Aron, between the poles of the ark, which jut out like the 2 breasts. And this is the idea that just like the breasts are modest, that they're not revealed to the world, so to Hashem, we're aware of the presence, but the presence is modest, and it's just something we feel the presence of, but we don't We don't have an ability to look directly. We know him badav lefusia de Aaron Haviyasvi. And how do we know that the bottom were placed by the width of the ark? Maybe we're there on the long side of the ark, not the ark was 2.5 by 1.5. So how do we know that they were on the side that was 1.5? Maybe they were on the side that was 2.5. So I'm Rabbi Huda, Trey Gavra, Ba'amta, Upalgi, Romistagilu. No, because if they were placed on the if they were placed on the width side, there wouldn't be enough. There are two people had to be standing there, and they wouldn't be able to stand inside that small area, which is only 1.5 amas. And how do we know that the ark was carried by 4 of them? Because it says in the verse for Nasu Akatim, the Katim carried it. That's trey, that's 2. And then it says no Sam Mikdash, and that's Namitre, it's another 2. Okay, so now here we go to the Brisa, Tana Rabbanan, that in addition to the fact that we needed to have a table in the Mikdash, Asar Shulchanos, Asa Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech made another 10 tables for the base of Mikdash. Even though we have a concept of Baltos, if you know what to add on, Shlomo HaMelech made another 10 tables for the base of Mikdash. So, Shenamar, as it says, Vayat Shulchanos, he made his tables, Asara, he made 10 tables, Vayanach Behechal, and he put them in the sanctuary. Chamisha miyamin v'chamisha mitzmol, 5 on the right and 5 on the left. What does it mean he put 5 on the right and 5 on the left? Im tomar chamesh miyamin Pesach, 5 on the right side as he walked in, chamesh mismol Pesach, and 5 on the left side. Im kin, if that would be the case, matzinu sheshochan b'darom. If that would be the case, then 5 of the tables will be standing on the left side, on the southern side of the sanctuary. And that is not going to be okay. Why? Because the Torah Amra, here we're talking about if you come in from the east, and if you put tables on the left and on the right, so the ones that are coming in that are on your left are on the southern side. But the Torah says, "Vashochan titein al tzelas safon." The table is supposed to be on the right side. Ella, so must be that all the tables were in the north, and Shamosha be'emtza, chamisha miyamino v'chamisha mismo. It must be that Moshe Rabbeinu's table stood in the middle, and 5 of the tables were on the right of Moshe, and 5 of the tables were on the left, but everything was on the right side of the Beis Hamikdash. And Tan Rabbanan, Esther Menoros also Shalom. In addition to the tables, have a good day, Aaron. In addition to the table that Moshe made, that Shlomo made 10 more menorahs. 10 more menorahs Moshe made. Shenemar states Vayas as a menorot hazahav eser, that he made the menorahs of gold 10 kamishpat, according to the law. Vayitain beichol chamisha miyamin v'chamisha mismol. He put 5 on the left, 5 on the right, and 5 on the left. Vim tomar, and if you want to say chamisha miyamin pesach, chamisha mismol pesach, the 5 are on the right side as well. You walked in, i.e., on the northern side of the sanctuary, and 5 are on the left side, i.e., on the southern side. Can't be. It came a tzinu menorah b'tzaf, and if that would be the case, the menorah would be in the north. Torah amra, that's the menorah nochach hashochan. The menorah was supposed to be opposite the table. The menorah was supposed to be in the south, and the table in the north. Ela shal Moshe be'emtza. So the menorah of Moshe was in the middle. The chamisha mimina, the chamisha mismoa, and 5 were on the right of it, and 5 were on the left of it. Tani chada. So the Gemara says, where was it exactly? Mechatzi bayis v'lifnim hayu muchanim. Those tables that on the northern side were all placed on the inner half of the north, i.e., on the. So if you come and you go to the right, you walk past the midway point of the sanctuary, and on that's where all the tables were. Tani chada mishlisha bayis v'lifnim hayu muchanim. You walk in 1/3, and that's where the place. Kasha. Not a difficulty. If you're counting the sanctuary, then it's one third. The Holy of Holies, then it's one third into the sanctuary. If you're not counting that, one only counted the sanctuary itself, and then it's from the halfway point onward. Tana Rabbanan, these 11 tables, Mizrach Umarav Hayumunachim, these 11 tables were all facing, they're all oriented from east to west on the right side, on the northern side as you came in. That's position Divrei Rebbe. Elazar ben Shimon Omer, Safon V'Daram. They were all oriented north to south. They were basically all towards the sanctuary, towards the Holy of Holies. My time made the Rebbe. What's the reason why Rebbe says that the tables were all towards the sanctuary? These were all east to west. Kamar min menorah. He learned the tables from the way the menorah was stood. Ma menorah mizrach u'marav. Just like the menorah was facing east towards west, meaning to say the menorah, let's say we walk in, if this is the sanctuary and that table is the Holy of Holies, the menorah was oriented like this. So just like the menorah was oriented from the east going towards the west, Afhani Nami Mizrach Marav. Also the tables are oriented lengthwise from the east towards the west. The Gemara says the menorah gufa minoan. How do we know that the menorah itself was oriented from the east to the west? Midachsiv Benera Maravi. From the fact that it says about the western lamp, the western lamp, Yarochoso Aaron Lifnei Hashem. Aaron shall arrange it before God, and it says it in the singular. Mikal Tekula Lav Lifnei Hashem. We learn from here that all the other lamps were not Lifnei Hashem. The east Salkadaitach, and if you're going to say that the menorah was placed from north to south, Kul not Lifnei Hashem Nina. Mean to say, if the menorah was like this, how many lamps are before God? Only the one that's most exterior. But if the menorah is like this, then all of them are before God. So therefore, the menorah had to be oriented from east to west. Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon, what's the reason why he says that the shulchanos were placed north to south? He doesn't learn out from the menorah, my taima. Damar me Aaron, he learns it from the Aaron. Ma Aaron tzafon l'daram, just like the ark was placed north to south. Afani nami tzafon l'daram. So the Gemara says, the Rebbe Nami Ligmar Aaron. Why does Rebbe learn out from the menorah from? Why does he learn out the table from the menorah? Why doesn't he learn it out from the Aaron? He says, "Dan and chutz michutz, vein dan and chutz miftim." It's more logical to compare the table to the menorah because they're both in the sanctuary. Neither one is in the Holy of Holies. Don't learn out from the ark, which is in the Holy of Holies. Rabbi Elazar Shimon Ligmar menorah. Why does Rabbi Elazar Shimon learn out from the ark? Why doesn't he learn out from the menorah? Amar lach. Menorah gufay tzafan v'daram have marcha. He says no. Also, the menorah was placed north to south lengthwise. Why? Why? But doesn't it say that that western lamp or one of the lamps has to be placed? It has to be placed before Aaron and his sons, meaning to say only one lamp is standing before Hashem. So he says, yes, it was placed north to south, but there was one lamp, the middle one, that was mitzadeh, that only the middle wick would be turned towards the Holy of Holies. The Tanya, Amol Pnei HaMenorah Ya'iru Shivas HaNeros, towards, you shall light the menorah, you shall light the 7 candles. What does that mean? Towards the face of the menorah, you shall light the 7 candles. It would all be facing towards the middle lamp, and the middle lamp itself would be the one that was facing towards the Holy of Holies. The middle one is the most praiseworthy. So look at there's a drawing here. You see that Rashi has a drawing. And this drawing of Rashi is very significant. I'll tell you in a second. But if you look at this drawing, you see that according to this approach, so according to one approach, only the last candle is in front of God. According to this approach, where it was oriented from north to south, all the lights were facing towards the middle lamp. And then the middle lamp was facing towards the Holy of Holies. Oh, but if you see that drawing, Ezekiel? But is it cited again in Megillah? It could be. Let's see. Yeah, Yoma. You sure, Megillah? Okay.
Yes, it talks about which only has the best one. Yeah.
Oh, the which one's the best? Okay, but so you're right. Well, see, you're right. Rashi's going to talk about why the middle one is praiseworthy. But before we get to that, Rashi, I see how if this drawing was actually done by Rashi, you see how Rashi has the menorah where the branches of the menorah are circular, which is how it appears on the Arch of Titus. But the Rambam's has a drawing in his Mishnah Torah where the branches are like whatever diagonal or like that pointy. So that's why the Chabad they follow the Rambam's version, but most people follow Rashi's version. That's why both are okay, and maybe both were done. We say Shlomo has 10. We just said he had 10 menorahs, so we don't know which one he had. So why do we care that the middle one is praiseworthy? It doesn't mean the middle child is the best child. No, it says it was refers to the three that read from the Sefer Torah on a Monday and a Thursday. Rashi says, "Oh, and Ezekiel is correct, as we said in Maseches Megillah. In pochatim yasar psukim, you can't do less than 10. There's only one day a year we do less than 10. When is that? Purim. V'ka'amar Rabbi Nasan demtzai meshubach, that the middle one is praiseworthy. V'korei arba, that you do 3, 4, and 3, because the middle one is praiseworthy. Okay, so we'll stop here, Baruch Hashem, and we'll pick this up this afternoon, Baruch Hashem.